Hello and welcome to the Gadgets and Gizmos show. I'm Siddharth Sharma, and over the next half an hour, we'll get you all the colorful gadgets from the world of technology. But before we do that, let's take a look at the lineup. On the show this week, we get you all the colorful smartphones that are making waves in the market. And also, Terminators might be a very near future reality. Okay, that's our lineup on this colorful edition of Gadgets and Gizmos show. And first up on the show, we have the all-new Sony Xperia Z1 Compact. Now, this is one smartphone which is compact in size and delivers on the processing power as well. But before we get you a full review on the Z1 Compact, let's take a look at the specs first. Sony Xperia Z1 Compact is the mini version of Sony's flagship smartphone, the Sony Xperia Z1. Sports a 4.3-inch IPS LCD capacitive touchscreen display up front with Sony's triluminous display technology. Internal memory is 16 GB and it runs on Android Jelly Bean operating system. At the back, the Z1 Compact sports a 20.7 megapixel autofocus camera that is capable of shooting HD videos. Xperia Z1 Compact is powered by a Qualcomm Snapdragon 800 processor clocked at 2.2 GHz and backed by 2 GB of RAM. Sony Xperia Z1 Compact also comes in a variety of color options and is a IP58 certified, dust-proof and water-resistant smartphone. Z1 Compact is priced at Rs 34,500. Alright, those are the specs on the all-new Sony Xperia Z1 Compact. Now, talking about the design on the Z1 Compact, it's got Sony's brilliant industrial design on it. At the back, you get a glass finish on this smartphone, which is very shiny and very good to look at and gives it a tough look as well. But after all, a glass is a glass at the end of the day, and it tracks a lot of scratches on it if you don't put in a back screen guard over the Sony Xperia Z1 Compact. The other thing that this phone also has to offer is that it comes in a lot of color options, and of course, Sony's brilliant industrial design also gives you waterproofing and dust resistance on the Xperia Z1 Compact as well, what we've seen on the earlier Z editions of the Xperia family. Okay, when we talk about the display on the new Sony Xperia Z1 Compact, as I told you earlier as well, the front of the smartphone is actually dominated by the 4.3-inch display that it has to offer. It's actually a half HD display. It's not a full HD display that you get on the Sony Xperia Z1. That is the company's flagship smartphone, but this smartphone in half HD and a smaller size, a compact size, you don't really miss a full HD screen on it. The text and images come out really clear, and the 4.3-inch screen actually works for you because you can hold the phone in one hand and work your way around the phone by using one thumb. So you really don't need two hands to actually operate the phone. Now, when we talk about the operating system that the Z1 Compact has to offer, it offers Android Jelly Bean right now, and Sony plans to come up with an KitKat update in April. But it won't make much of a difference because at the end of the day, Sony runs a customized Android onto the Z1 Compact. So users won't really find any difference between the older version of the Android running on the Z1 Compact and if there's a new update also that comes in. Alright, now coming to the camera on the Sony Xperia Z1 Compact, it has a 20.7 megapixel primary camera onto it. And what that boils down to is brilliant image results. Of course, the screen on the Z1 Compact is half HD, but if you click some images and transfer it onto your desktop and your laptop maybe, you will find the images come out really crisp and sharp. Even if you zoom into it, the detailing is very nice. The images that you click under low light conditions also are very good. Up front, it also houses a 2 megapixel camera onto the Z1 Compact, but it's not that great camera to click selfies these days. We see smartphones coming out with 5 megapixel cameras and 8 megapixel cameras as well to click great selfies on them. But for a 2 megapixel camera, it's only as good to do video calling on it. Now when we talk about the performance of the Sony Xperia Z1 Compact, it's not a bad phone at all. In fact, it is one of the best performing compact smartphones that you'll get in the market. It runs a quad-core Qualcomm Snapdragon 800 processor on it, which is the latest, which is almost a similar processor that you find on the Google Nexus 5 or even the Xiaomi eLife E7 as well. And when we did a benchmark rating on this smartphone, it actually yielded a score of 34,284, which is actually very good if you compare it to the other competitors that are there in the market. So this is one super fast Android smartphone. The gaming performance on it is brilliant. It handles multitasking seamlessly, and there are no lags as such seen on the smartphone, and it is actually a very good performer at the end of the day. Now here's the thing, it's priced at rupees 34,500 rupees, which is a bit too steep. But then you need to pay some premium to these companies when they're giving you additional features such as water resistance and dust proofing on the smartphones like these. And of course, it is a performer, it has a good camera and everything going for it. A complete recommendation from our side in this festive season for sure. Moving from a lime-colored smartphone to a red one now. Nokia rode really high on the success of the Nokia Lumia 520. And now they've come out with a second generation to that. And next up, we get you the review of the all-new Nokia Lumia 525. Let's have a look. Nokia Lumia 520 was a champion smartphone when it came to a budget Windows device. And now they have a new one in the market. Meet the Nokia Lumia 525. This is a Windows 8 operating system smartphone with a 4-inch LCD touchscreen. Lumia 525 has Nokia's beautiful design lines, and the 4-inch display gives you 223 ppi pixel density, which is decent for a budget smartphone. The back panel of this device is made up of polycarbonate, and it comes in flashy color options as well. The looks are bold and bright, and there's no doubt that it looks vibrant. At its heart, the Lumia 525 has a 1 GHz dual-core Snapdragon S4 Plus processor with integrated Adreno 305 graphics backed by 1 GB of RAM. Performance-wise, it is decent, but you also get a lot of Android smartphones in this price range with faster processing speeds. There are no lags as such, and it uses optimum power for day-to-day usage. At the back, the Lumia 525 has a 5 megapixel camera that is capable of doing 720p HD videos. And well, there is no flash given on this smartphone. The image quality is decent for a budget price. There's also 8 GB of built-in storage, which is expandable with a micro SD card to 64 GB. The battery on the Lumia 525 is 1430 mAh, which is apt as most of the components on this smartphones are not power hungry at all. For Rs 10,000, sure, Lumia 525 is a bit too expensive when it comes to the specifications that it has to offer. But then again, it's a decent performer and looks good for sure. For Windows Phone lovers, in the budget segment, Lumia 525 is the one to go for. Anyways, when we're talking about colors on this episode, how can we forget blue? And HTC's got one smartphone that comes in that color. Yes, we're talking about the HTC Desire 501, and up next on the show, we get you a review of that.
Meet the new kid on the block from the house of HTC, the Desire 501. This is a dual SIM Android smartphone with Jelly Bean operating system and HTC Sense skin loaded onto it. It comes in various color options, but the blue on this smartphone just looks stunning. Overall, it has a great build quality, and this smartphone is not a unibody design. In terms of overall looks, it appears to be a little bulky, but then it makes it all the more sturdy than today's slim bezeled smartphones. Up front, you get a 4.3-inch Super LCD 2 capacitive touchscreen, which is a bit reflective but quite smooth when it comes to a touchscreen interface. At the back, you get an 8-megapixel camera, which is capable of shooting HD videos, and the camera on it produces great noise-free results almost every time. It is capable of doing HD video recordings as well. HTC Desire 501 is powered by a 1.15 GHz dual-core processor backed by 1 GB of RAM. It handles multitasking seamlessly, though there are some lags seen when you play games with heavy graphics. But overall, when it comes to looks and build quality, Desire 501 is a real stunner. The smartphone has a 2100 mAh battery, and on the stamina mode it lasts you a couple of days easily. This is one decent mid-range smartphone given the fact that you have a lot of options in the price point. But here's the thing, at 17,175 rupees, you will have one really great looking smartphone in your hand and will definitely make some heads turn.
And now it's time to take a very short break on this episode, but you don't go anywhere because there's a lot more technology action coming your way on the other side.